Hello.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Space Oddities. We are a group of professional and amateur astronomers that meet up every Monday evening on YouTube to discuss about everything on space and all the latest news. We're so happy to have you, and we're so happy to have our great panel of members here. Hello, panel.
Hello, Bernard. How are you?
Evening, all.
I'm good. How's everyone?
Fine.
We're all
Absolutely
fine,
ready
thank
to
you.
go.
That's good. That's great. So my name is Bernard. We have a few panelists not with us today, unfortunately, and unfortunately Rachel's not going to be in today. So for any of you who have sent images to Rachel to be shown, don't worry. We will definitely show them, but next week instead. So without further ado, as always, we always start with Roger. So Roger, what do you have in the sky for us, please?
Well, this evening I've got the usual what's up in the night sky, but I've got a few pictures of the planets that I've done over the last week to show what people can see when they get a telescope out through some clear skies, and some other information, and a couple of new photographs from the James Webb as well. So without further ado, this will now proceed. Okay, here we go. Right, so Today we have got for the week of the 5th to the 11th of September. And unfortunately for us, on Saturday coming up, it will be a full moon.
Yes.
Yes, but it's not a supermoon. No more supermoons for the rest of the year, fortunately, or unfortunately for those people that like these sorts of things. But while we have got some images up in the night sky that I've done of some of the other planets, and this is a slightly fuzzy phase of the planet Mars, which will be in opposition during December this year. So it will look a lot clearer than that, fortunately for me, I'm hoping.
Nice image, Roger.
Good.
And I've been out busy imaging the planet Jupiter. There's a little animation of
nice.
some of the moons going round, and a static one.
Sorry, the moons, is that Io or Callisto we're seeing?
Two of them. I'm not sure which ones. I didn't get into which ones they were, but
it's often quite difficult to work out which they are because they don't necessarily appear in order from the planet because of line of sight, of course. So
yeah.
Sure.
So this one was one that I managed to grab of the
nice.
with the red spot just about to
peeking out there,
exit stage right, so to speak.
Yeah. Nice.
But not too bad.
Phenomenal amount of detail in there.
Yeah, but I've got some better ones of the planet Saturn. If I can. And as you can see on the illustration on the right-hand side, I managed to bring out the detail for the other moons of Saturn here.
Fantastic.
Rhea, Dione, Enceladus, and Titan. And Titan does look rather large compared to the other ones, but I was quite pleased with that. And that was obviously a bit nearer to the opposition time because of the effect of the opposition bringing out the inner ring to a much brighter phase there. But with my processing, I'm gradually getting the bands on the surface there a lot better.
They're really clear, aren't they?
Not too bad.
Yeah, well done.
Unfortunately, we still don't get a very high rising of the planet to get it as clear as it should be, but it's okay. Right. Okay. So also we've got in the night sky, we've got the asteroid Juno coming in. In fact, on the 7th of September, it's at opposition. It has moved from Pisces and moving into Aquarius at the moment. As you can see from the information there, it was first discovered in 1804 by the German astronomer Carl Harding. And it's a reasonable bright magnitude 8. And the next slide gives you a brief indication of its traverse through the night sky. And if you wish to have a look for it, you're quite welcome to see how quickly it does traverse through the star fields there. Okay, so here we go for our weekly roundup of the planets. And in the northern hemisphere from midnight, the planets Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn are all still visible in the night sky. Mars now coming up earlier and earlier for its December opposition, which will be quite good. And Jupiter gets nicely high up in the sky about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, with Saturn obviously sinking down well before that time. And as you can see, Mars and Jupiter getting quite good in the night sky. Obviously, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you've got a better opportunity with Saturn and Jupiter really high up in the night sky. And the winter constellations still rising up into the night sky with all that information. And here we are with the latest James Webb Space images, which we have of this Wolf-Rayet 140. And as you can see, it's got these rather interesting, almost like what we call in photography Fresnel rings around it.
Yeah, they are like
there's some
Fresnel rings,
basic information there. I mean, the star is almost magnitude 7, so it is quite a bright object in the night sky anyway.
So what's happening here is that you've got the Wolf-Rayet star, and it's orbiting a blue supergiant star. And every 6 years, their orbital interactions, because the Wolf-Rayet star is throwing off a lot of dust, and their orbital interactions mean that every 6 years, the dust leaves a sort of a trail around the orbit. And because of the various points at which their orbits intersect, every 6 years you get one of these sort of rings being generated, which is absolutely incredible. A lot of people thought this was some sort of photographic artifact, but it's not. These are shells of dust surrounding the star. It's amazing. This had been seen before, of course. This is not a new discovery. But seeing it in infrared has made those shells a lot brighter, because obviously they're dust, and they've managed to observe them a lot better in the infrared. So there we are. So
right.
yeah.
And we also have another interesting picture, which was predicted by Einstein, and it's an Einstein ring, or Einstein-Chalson ring, or Chalson ring. And that's been picked up. This is quite a pixelated picture, but it gives a very clear demonstration of what can happen when gravitational lensing around a perfectly aligned object, and it gives you this this phenomenon.
So this is another example of gravitational lensing as predicted by Einstein, of course. We saw a very clear example of that in the very first Webb image, if you remember, with all the smeared galaxies. And this is just another example of gravity magnifying an image or an object in the background with some massive gravitational mass between us and that object doing the bending of the light. Of course, you've also got Einstein crosses as well as Einstein rings, where you have multiple images of the same thing. There's a very famous image of a quasar. I think it's 4 or 5 different images, but it's all the same object, which is absolutely incredible. So
okay, well, that's my presentation for this.
Thank you very much, Roger. That's great.
Thank you, Roger.
Very good,
That was
Roger.
fantastic. Is it? Am I correct to say that's the first time we see an Einstein ring complete as it is now, or is that not?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think I sort of read that maybe in a paper when that image came out.
Because I've certainly seen partial rings.
Yeah.
I think Hubble might have picked them up partially, but nothing with the clarity that the James Webb has managed to absolutely give definite proof of.
When I was running with SLU, the robotic telescope site, a group of us over a period of about 3, 4, 5 months, we just took stacks and stacks of images of an Einstein ring. I can't remember what it was. I think it was that was basically what it was called, an Einstein ring. Way off, because we had to take, it was literally hours and hours and hours and thousands of pictures, which all had to be stacked and all that. And after all that time, we did just manage to pick it out. You could see the dot in the middle and then a ring around the outside. So at the time, it was the most distant object caught by SLU telescopes. But within about 4 days, somebody photographed a quasar, which was a lot further. So, damn you. But yes, I'll see if I can find the images.
That's the thing with astronomical records, isn't it? They tend not to last very long.
Not very long, no. Somebody else comes along behind you.
But yes, was the ring complete or not?
Yes, the ring was complete.
Oh, well, there you go then. Yeah,
I'll dig out the photographs if I can. They're in the vaults somewhere. They're probably on glass plates. But it was when I was with SLU. There was a whole load of us who actually took part, because this is what science is about: is collaborations and endurance.
Absolutely.
Nothing comes easy, so you just have to stick at it. Just keep, and of course you get the disappointing nights. We'll all put all our images or imaging time in, and then it'll cloud over, and so you end up getting nothing. So I think it took nearly a year altogether
Really?
on and off. Yeah.
I'd just like to pick up something you said. When you said when I was running with the slew, it makes you sound like some sort of Chicago street punk.
Oh, we were, yeah. And leather jackets and everything.
Why am I hearing West Side Story at this point?
Exactly.
We have said good evening to Keith at this point. Good evening, Keith. Thank you for joining.
Hello, Keith.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to see you again,
Keith. Cool.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that, Roger. I'd like to remind everyone as well that the asteroid Juno that you mentioned, Roger, is one of the biggest asteroids in the asteroid belt, actually. I think if my memory is right, it's like 1% of the mass of the asteroid belt, something like that.
Really, that much? God,
yeah, it's quite big. It's quite a big fella. So
it was designated a planet very briefly.
Yes.
That's right, along with Ceres.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, thank you so much, Roger. That's great. Lovely pictures. So, before we move on, I'd like to remind everyone who's watching, don't forget to like, subscribe. That definitely pushes the channel upwards and makes us more seen. And also, don't forget we have a Facebook channel called Space Oddities, where the members post various news and events of interest within the channel. So that's getting quite active now, and it's very interesting. So just don't forget to go to Facebook and search for Space Oddities. It's the same name. So great. Well, it's great. It's great that Andy's here, because Andy just came back from a trip from Ireland. Andy, do you want to share with us what's happened to you?
Yes, indeed. Daz, can you make me the host for this? There's just one short video there. Which will come off best if you do that.
I certainly can.
Just give me 1 second to set this up, gentlemen, if you would be so good.
Anyway, just bear with me.
Okay, let's get the sound there. Okay, I hope you can see that.
Yep.
Right, great. So I was invited to go and speak at the biggest star party in Ireland, which is run by a company called Astronomy Ireland. And I was only too happy to take up the invitation. And it took place at a place called Roundwood in County Wicklow in Eire in Southern Ireland. And as you can see from this photo, you have to sort of go up a mountain, and it's just the other side of the mountain. So at a fair altitude there. So the air was nice and transparent anyway. And I have to give thanks for this to Trevor Quinn, who was the official photographer of the event, because I only had my phone with me and the photos weren't brilliant quality. But Trevor's taken a lot of really nice photos. Most of the photos in this presentation are from Trevor. So Trevor, thank you so much for those. So firstly, before I left here in Spain, there's my local airport. And as you can see, the mountains in the background, and it was quite stormy. And as we ascended, I got some really nice shots of the clouds, which are, considering this was a phone out of an aircraft window, I'm very happy with these. So you've got beautiful shots like this. This one I love because look, you can see the thunderhead at the top right there, and I was just absolutely entranced with all of these. So when we eventually got to the barbecue, the Starbecue as it's called, it's an annual event, and they had sold 600 odd tickets for it. This was the queue for the food, which was right down to the end of the car park, and it remained like that for 2 hours. So, trying to feed 600 people was not an easy thing. Just some general shots of people with scopes. There was some solar observing going on there because it was quite a sunny afternoon, although it did cloud over about 6 o'clock, but there was lots of people got to see the sun, and, just general shots of men with scopes, basically. And there we are. And there were some pretty big scopes there. The biggest was a 14-inch Celestron, and this guy had an 11-inch Celestron, which was great. And this was people lining up because the most important thing, the most fun thing was the children, because there were 90 children there in total. And they got to launch some rockets, some little rockets, and they were absolutely thrilled. And a few of them got chosen to actually press the button, as it were. And here's a brief video of one of these going up.
This Connor, okay? Kneel down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So there were, I think, 4 rockets launched in total. 2 of them failed. One had SLS written on the side, and you know, the kids had a great time. They had an absolutely marvelous. And there's a shot, you can see the rocket. It's a very good shot with the rocket with its exhaust just pictured at the right time, just having left the launch pad there. So that's a nice shot. We had some gorgeous little children in spacesuits, and this was one of them. You know, I haven't been able to contact her parents to ask permission to show this photo, so I've got one of the back view. So she was absolutely delightful, and there was another couple there in spacesuits, well into their spacesuits they were as well. And this was Mark, the science guy, who led the children through doing some experiments with rocketry, the basics of rocket propulsion, all sorts of balloons and water and stuff. And it was amazing. And he had the children in the palm of his hands for you know, half an hour or more, and they absolutely loved it. This is me with the director of Astronomy Ireland, David Moore, just to prove I have a body. I'm not just a head and shoulders. So that was me. And this was my audience for the night, 600 people, as I said.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, to be honest, Bernard, to me, whether it's 6 or 6,000 people, it doesn't make a difference at all. I'm not, you know, I'm not.
Have you ever done a show in front of 6,000 people? I think it'll make a difference.
No, this was the biggest ever audience. I've never done in front of 6,000. Wouldn't bother me though. I'd do Wembley Stadium if they'd let me. You know, it doesn't faze me at all. I'm quite happy. I'm as happy talking to 6,000 people as I am to one person.
I can just imagine you bouncing onto the stage from the side saying, "Hello, Wembley."
Well, actually, Daz, I'll let you into a secret. That's on my bucket list. So I'd love to do that.
Everybody's saying, "Who's that?"
Yeah, is that the warm-up act? So there we are. So a lot of people, and they were a great, wonderful audience. And this is a silhouette of me, because the lights were out, talking in front of Einstein's equations of relativity. These are the actual equations that he left on the blackboard. They're still there. They've never been wiped off from one of his last lectures. So that was great. They're a little bit blurred in the background there because they were actually scrolling up the screen. But I didn't actually talk about the maths, obviously, because you know, I would have put everybody to sleep, and I don't understand them anyway. So there we are. And the talk went very well. I talked on gravitational waves, and the title of the talk was "Gravitational Waves and Supermassive Monsters." So it was all about the interaction of gravitational waves with black holes and neutron stars. And you know, I have to say, even have to say it myself, it went down very well. And then at the end of the evening, just as it was being announced that the observing would be held over till the following weekend because it was cloudy, somebody ran into the hall and shouted, "It's clearing, it's clearing!" And we all went out, and the clouds parted, and this was the result. And there was still a bit of high haze there. I don't know whether you can see it, but there are plenty of satellite tracks on there as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then somebody managed to get a photo of Jupiter, which I think we showed last week. But anyway, this was just to prove that we did have some decent seeing in the end. This was an image taken with the C14, the Celestian 14, with Jupiter and Ganymede, and Roger's photo has the same thing, but just as Ganymede is disappearing behind the limb of Jupiter. So there you are. So that was basically my trip to Ireland. Thanks to Astronomy Ireland. I have to say thank you to my dear friends Anne and Mick, who put me up for the weekend and looked after me so well. And you were hosts in a million, guys, again. So thank you so much for that. And I really enjoyed myself. It's exactly what I needed to get away for a while out of this intense heat that we've got here in Spain. And it was just nice to be there with Anne and Mick and everybody else. So thanks for that. And that's it, guys. That's the last image.
Andy, did you manage to get to Tara, Tara Hill, the burial mounds? Can't remember their names now.
Oh, well, you mean
Newgrange?
Yeah, Newgrange. Yes.
No, we didn't get there this time, but we will. We will in the future. I did, however, visit a Neolithic tomb in the woods, and Anne and Mick said, "Oh, there's one in the woods over here. Let's go and have a look." So, and there it is. It's one of those where you've got the two pillars and the flat slab of rock on the top, and the slab of rock has actually slid off a bit. But it was interesting, and I made a complete fool of myself by tripping over, falling into a bed of blackberry, getting brambles wrapped around me, and that bunch of blackberry was concealing a ditch, and so I fell into the ditch, and then couldn't get out again. So that was quite fun. But that's me. That's what I do. That's
because the Neolithic tombs are also linked to astronomy.
Yes, they are very
They're
much.
alignments of the entrances, and usually the solstices or the equinoxes or something like that. So it's just fascinating. I'm getting a feedback.
Yeah, I'm getting an echo as well.
Yeah, where's that coming from?
But
Anyway, but those things are just dotted everywhere in Ireland.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much history to be discovered and history to be understood, because, you know, for a large part of it, archaeologists aren't certain what it was all for, really.
Yeah.
And last time I was there, we went along the River Boyne to visit a lot of Neolithic sites along there, lots of mounds and ditches and things, and it was stunning, absolutely stunning. But there we are. That was my trip to Ireland. I hope to go back next year, and I had a thoroughly good time.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Andy. That was great. Can you I don't know why I sort of missed it. Where exactly were you in Ireland?
It's just not far from Dublin.
Right. Okay.
It's where we were was about 45 minutes out of Dublin, 45 minutes an hour out of Dublin, up in the mountains. So it was great. There we are.
Yeah. Well, Ireland's a beautiful country. I remember once that.
It's unbelievable.
And the Irish people are so nice and friendly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing, as I found out at the Starbecue, was that you can get talking to an Irish person you never met them before, and within 5 minutes you feel like you've known them all your life.
Yeah,
you know, they are wonderful people, absolutely wonderful.
That's the Guinness, Andy. I don't think.
Yeah. Oh, I had plenty of that.
I love everyone.
Yeah. You're my mate. I love you.
Yeah.
We had plenty of Guinness, lots of live music, of course, being Ireland, and it was just great. I love being there.
Yeah.
So there we are. It's my type of place.
Cool. Well, great. Well done. Thank you so much for that presentation. Right, guys, we have lots of news to go through. CO2 discovered on exoplanets, SLS having a tantrum again. Why don't we start with Das? Das, do you want to
what would you like to start with? You know, with the SLS, we could be here for a week.
Well, can you not sort of condense it in a way that's digestible for people?
As we know, a week ago, we had the first attempted launch, which was scrubbed due to hydrogen leaks. Now, these leaks are not unexpected because the shuttle was plagued with them. And of course, most of the engines and the parts they're being used to launch the SLS are shuttle engines. Unfortunately, also the tower is a relic from the Constellation program, which has been adapted and cut about and added to by several contractors. Unfortunately, none of them talk to each other, which of course has caused some problems with unions of the automatic release unions and things like that. But in the end, they run out of time basically trying to sort that one out. So they didn't take it back to the VAB. Excuse me, I'm just going to let Karim in. They didn't return it to the VAB. They were trying to sort it on the pad. And the next launch date was on Saturday. And I was attending an event at Whittington Castle at the time, which I had to cut short to zoom back to Shrewsbury to set up for the link that we were doing another live cast, just to get in and turn on YouTube, just as they officially announced that it had been scrubbed again for hydrogen leaks. And they tried several on the pad fixes, trying to heat up the union, because again it was the same union on the core stage, and this time it was a bigger leak. So what they tried to do is they stopped putting hydrogen through it. They warmed up the actual union and the surround of it, and then cooled it down, hoping that it will contract again and complete the seal, but that failed. And then it emerged that, unfortunately, due to human error, it appears that they had pumped hydrogen into through that union at 3 times the pressure that it should have been. And of course, this could have only exacerbated the problem. So again, there was no way they were going to be able to fix it in time, so it was scrubbed again. Now, as regards the next launch, there is a window that opens, I think it's on the 16th of September to the 4th of October, but they don't think they're going to get anywhere near that, because also in the middle there somewhere, they've got the next launch to the International Space Station, the crewed mission. And it seems that they can't multitask, so they've got to prioritize each one. The SLS, as far as I understand at this precise moment in time, is still sat on the pad. They're going to try and work it at the pad, but it means building a big surround and creating an environment where they can do this. Either that, or it's got to be wheeled back to the vehicle assembly building, because also there is a problem if they don't launch it within. Well, I don't think they are going to launch now, but there's a problem with the self-destruct mechanism, that it runs on batteries, and these have to be certified. It's already been extended. I think they get these devices off the army, and it's got a 20-day. As soon as it's put on, it's got to be wheeled out, off it goes. But it's only got 20 days battery life. They extended this to 25 days, but they're going to fall foul of that. So that has to be taken back and everything checked and changed out again. And if they do that, then we're not going to see anything until October. And I think it'll probably be mid-October. I have got the date somewhere, but I think it's about the 17th of October it opens again, until the 31st of October. So, yes, unfortunately, we're struggling with delays. As we said, it's not unusual. We had all these problems with the space shuttle. Hydrogen, as Andy pointed out, is a very, 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 very small item. And it's just looking for any small gap that it can escape from.
Yeah, it's the smallest molecule in the universe.
Yeah.
Because when you think of hydrogen, you think of H, one atom. Yeah. But hydrogen is more commonly found in configurations of 2 hydrogen atoms, which is known as diatomic hydrogen. And this is the type of hydrogen that you find in hydrogen fuel. And because it's the smallest molecule in the universe, it will slip through any gap, no matter how small.
Yeah.
So, this has always caused problems, because I always said it was a bad idea to use hydrogen as fuel for this very reason. It just leaks out everywhere. So,
I think this is one of the reasons when, because if you remember that most of this comes from, as I said, from the space shuttle. And then when they announced the new system for launching to go to the moon, and the SLS was put forward, and then they turned around and said, we're going to use all the leftover shuttle bits. I mean, all these engines have been in space before. So they've all been used before, because they're reusable off of the shuttles. They had troubles then scrubbing launches and things like that. I mean, Mr. Nelson keeps on every time they talk to him saying about, oh, they scrubbed our launch 4 times, but only 2 times was that actually leaks. The other times were weather. But really, and it's not a very good advert for him. Keep reminding everybody of how many times it took him before he actually got into space.
Isn't there an issue with power as well for the CubeSats that are pitching a ride?
Yes, there is a problem, and this could be this will be found out later. Again, these CubeSats were actually installed into the SLS in their positions where they're going to fly in probably months ago. And what's happened is they've been sat there. Once they're in and they're installed in their cradles and their launch systems, they are not accessible from the outside. And as a result, they've been sat there for a very long time. I think somebody even said it's probably nearly a year. And some of these can be recharged using solar panels, but a lot of them aren't. And there is a concern that when these are launched, that there won't be enough power in them for them to be able to perform what they're supposed to do. So we could end up losing CubeSats. But it's better to lose CubeSats than lose big expensive items. I mean, it's going to be terrible for the people who've worked on these. But I mean, of course, they're all going to do different things. Some of them are going to go into orbit. One of them is going to try and land. It's called a semi-hard landing or something silly like that. They're going to actually sort of like bounce it in using air cushions. And one of them's it's got a small solar sail on it, and that's going to actually fly off into space, and it's due to visit one of the asteroids at some time. So yes, there is a problem with this. So these delays are causing a lot of problems, but it's like space is hard, and we have done it with the Apollo series, but to get these things off the ground, plus, like I said, there is a problem with it's an existing problem that they knew about anyway. That you would have thought they would have gone down a different route, but there you go. We are where we are, and when the next launch attempt is, I really don't know. But
well, they've got a window opening in mid-October, haven't they?
Yeah, that's the one about, I think it's about the 16th to 17th.
Something.
To the end of October.
That's right.
But the one that's in the middle, which is, I think they call it window 26. The one you've just mentioned is 27, but 26 it interferes with this manned launch to the International Space Station.
Right. Yeah.
And also they don't think they're going to be ready. I mean, they've got a lot. I think this is a serious problem for them. I mean, you don't want to be lighting engines with lots of loose hydrogen lying around.
You don't. Meanwhile, at Boca Chica, SpaceX are continuing testing of their super heavy booster B7 and Ship 24 together, both of which will hopefully take off on an attempt, SpaceX's first attempt to get the vehicle into orbit sometime. My own guess is that it will happen sometime in October. So this is like the battle of the 2 giant rockets, the biggest rockets ever built. Which one's going to get into space first? So, there's obviously a bit of rivalry going on there. And it's quite interesting. Last week, SpaceX did multiple engine static fires of both the booster and the Starship. The booster 7 static fire was meant to be 3 engines, but one of them aborted and shut down almost immediately. That was swapped out the next day for a new engine. And the static fire of the Starship got to just within a few seconds of actually firing the engines, and there was an abort. We don't know why, and it had to be scrubbed. It's, as Daz says, space is hard. It's rarely linear. It's rarely a linear progression. It's often one step forward, 2 steps back. So these are the most difficult engineering things in space, I think, that have ever been attempted at the moment with both the SLS and the Starship. So Steve's
got his hand up and he's muted.
Steve.
You're muted.
You're on mute, Steve.
That was bad. Yeah, I know nostalgia isn't what it used to be, but I'm just thinking back to the days of Apollo, that from start to finish within a decade, they built the rocket, tested everything, and actually got people on the moon. It just shows, and you know, in much less advanced technology than we've got today, just shows what phenomenal.
Yeah, and one of the most amazing things to me, Steve, about Apollo is that they didn't know if they could do it.
Yeah.
At least now we know that we
we've done
these
it.
big rockets and get them into space, but they didn't actually know whether it was going to work or not. So it was an amazing engineering feat, as you said. From when JFK gave his speech to the first landing on the moon was only 8 years. And it's incredible to think now. They didn't use liquid hydrogen though, so that was probably why. But
Talking about hydrogen, can I just have a quick one about the hydrogen? The hydrogen is replenished, so there's a certain pressure in the rocket. Is that right?
Yes.
What about there must be a continuous supply of hydrogen to the rocket.
Yes.
What is does anybody know about the costs of the supplying that hydrogen and any other liquid propellants?
I think the cost is somewhere around expensive.
Yeah, very, very expensive, because they have to because it's not only a case of while these engines. I'm not sure. I think they have detanked this time, but they didn't after the first launch attempt. But they have to keep keep it topped up, because of course this hydrogen is so cold that it boils off and it has to be vented off, so they have to keep continuous supply topping off the engines. And it takes hundreds and hundreds of from what I understand, well, a lot of tankers, and they said if they didn't launch this time, they've now got to go back and so get it replenished, so there's going to be more tankers turning up to refuel the actual tanks that then can actually feed the SLS. But when they was asked at the meeting afterwards, when they just were talking about the scrub and what the problems were, and the chap couldn't give said it's really it is expensive. It takes loads and loads of trucks coming in, bringing in the hydrogen.
All right.
And then so, but I think he said he might come back with some figures, but I've seen nothing since the post-launch scrub launch on YouTube. I haven't seen anything, unfortunately, as to regards what's going on.
So. Of course, it's not just the cost of the liquid hydrogen, Michael, is it? It's the cost of the liquid oxygen they also wasted.
Of course, yeah.
Because when they scrubbed the launch, they had loaded 155,000 gallons of liquid oxygen into the rocket, and of course that has to be scrubbed. So it's a double cost to them.
Well, the way the U.S. space policy is set and how Congress is funding the SLS, I don't really think that matters, unfortunately.
No, it's small potatoes, as they say.
Derek Abbott in the chat.
Hi, Derek.
He's actually probably put his finger on the nail when we were talking about loose hydrogen. And he said the Hindenburg used hydrogens. We all know what happened there. Good point, Derek.
When you look at the costs, I mean, NASA have paid $155 million for each of the engines, the old shuttle engines, to be basically refurbished and brought up to whatever. 155 million. And SpaceX are currently churning out their Raptor 2 engines at less than $1 million per engine.
Wow.
This is the difference between NASA and SpaceX. That NASA is just, it's a bottomless pit for money. But, the guys in Congress like it, and they want to keep the gravy train rolling with the contractors. So
I think there's also a problem with the engines. They've only got enough to go to SLS-4, I think it is.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then they will have to think about actually rebuilding full engines.
Yeah, and the Orion service module has only got enough to go to Orion service module 6. So
yeah. And you know, I did want to say apologies to any of our viewers who were waiting for our live stream on Saturday. We did have to cancel it because the launch was cancelled, so they didn't see much point us sitting here and just, you know, boring you to death. But rest assured, you know, we will continue to bring you live space events if they're significant. So we definitely will set up something for the SpaceX first orbital launch, because that's going to be unbelievable.
Totally.
So
Totally.
we will continue to bring this stuff when we can. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Annie, can I just remind everyone as well? Since we're all having a go at SLS, I just want to remind our viewers that we are absolutely living in extraordinary times, because having something like an SLS that everyone's been waiting for like 50 years now, 40 years, and just having SpaceX as well lined up together is just absolutely amazing, and just being in this period where we have no idea who's going to end up first in space, it's just phenomenal. So I just think, I always say to whoever is interested in space, like, we live in extraordinary times at the moment.
We do live in,
exactly.
Yeah, we should never forget how lucky we are to live through these times.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
seeing things that no human has ever seen before.
Absolutely. I was going to pass it on to Karim, who was in Albania. However, he dropped out.
Dropped out, yeah. Just as on a happier note as regards space travel, Axiom have booked their second crew to go to the International Space Station.
Yes.
If you remember, at the beginning of the year, they said, was it the end of the last year? A little while ago, anyway. They sent up their first crew. That spent, I think it was 8 days at the International Space Station conducting science experiments, and Axiom have now actually booked for a second trip to go up. Also, we've also got is it the Polaris?
Can I interrupt you? I have no idea. I just have a blank. What is Axiom again? Is that a private corporation?
Yes, it's a private. Sorry, they were going.
Sorry,
yeah.
Dad.
They were going. They're talking about also building their own space station, commercial space station, because we've got Blue Reef, which is Blue Origin's. Orbital Reef. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Blue Reef.
Blue Origin.
Blue. Yeah, I got them mixed up. So that's Blue Origins and Sierra Space, plus a few others. And I think the main core for that's just been given the go ahead by NASA. NASA have chosen that as their sort of like go-to unit, and so they're going to start planning for that. Axiom were talking about possibly even towards the end of this year launching their first pod, because it's actually going to be built attached to, or starting to be built, attached to the International Space Station.
Yeah.
And then eventually it will detach and then become its own entity.
And one other thing on Axiom, they've already had their first private crew, the ISS.
Yes.
And another one's been on the cards as well.
Yeah. And then of course we've got, what have they called it? Polaris, which is
yes, Polaris.
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 Yeah. It's a commercial space flight by the people that were on, the guy who went on Inspiration 4 last year.
That's right, yeah.
He's funded another cruise mission with SpaceX called Polaris Dawn.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully going to be in December this year.
Yeah, as you said, it's on
feature the first EVA as well.
Yeah, in a Crew Dragon. So they're actually going to be testing spacesuits, and somebody will actually be leaving the actual module itself. So they'll all have to be wearing some sort of pressurized suits
and testing new communications as well. And that
well, this is what this is all about, is testing the limits, and this is what SLS Artemis 1's about, is more science based, and it's going to go around the moon. It's going to spend 2 or 3 weeks up there. They're going to be studying the radiation effects on mannequins. They're going to some of the mannequin. Well, one of the mannequins is wearing a vest, which they hopefully will mitigate some of this problem. They're going to be looking, and they're also having an Alexa go up.
Yeah, that's right. It's called
Callisto, yeah, and so it's
the Polaris Dawn mission is the first one of 3 proposed missions of increasingly complex missions. The third one they intend to be the first crewed mission of Starship.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's all being funded by Jared Isaacman, the billionaire.
That's right. Yes, you're going to say because he's booked
all in aid of a children's cancer hospital.
It's St Jude's Children's Cancer Research Hospital.
Yeah. So because the first flight earned millions for the children's hospital.
Yeah.
So let's hope that
exceeded the amount that they were aiming for tremendously.
I think that's looking. They're looking towards December for the launch.
That's right, December. That's right,
yeah. Well, so there's plenty to look forward to.
If it raises more money for children's cancer research, then that's worth it.
Excellent.
Yeah. Cool. Well, as I said, we live in extraordinary times. And thank you so much, Daz, for all this information about SLS and everything else. For the members out there, SLS stands for Space Launch System. It's not very poetic, and it certainly is less romantic than Saturn rockets.
I think they could have. I think the committee fell down on the job that day, didn't they?
Yeah.
Must have been a Monday.
Yeah, it was Friday. They wanted to get home.
Right.
Neil's just put in the chat. SLS stands for Super Lame System.
As well. As well. Great. Well, let's move on from spaceflight because we definitely have other things to talk about. I'd like to pass it on to Steve, who actually went to an event and met some of our members. Steve, do you want to share with us that?
Well, yes. Thanks, Bernard. Just like Andy proved at the Starbecue that he does have a body in addition to a head and shoulders, that several of us have actually met up for the first time and proved that we're fully corporate as well. We met up. We've all kind of come from Astro Radio, as many of our listeners our viewers may know. That was run by Pete Williamson. And Pete actually organised an event on Saturday in his local village at Whittington Castle. It's a delightful place, very scenic, and probably 40 people, astronomy enthusiasts met up there. Some public that were visiting the castle dropped in as well. Unfortunately, the sun didn't appear, so the planned solar observing couldn't actually take place, but it was a really good event, and it was just delightful to actually meet several of us. Daz was there, he'd come up, and Michael too. Keith also turned up, as well as myself, and Kath, who sometimes drops in with us here on Space Oddities as well. We actually met each other for the very first time, which was really good to see everyone.
If I can share my screen, I've got some images lined up.
Go on, show us.
So if you just bear with me.
There were 3 talks involved as well that Pete had arranged. So it was a good day all round.
Yeah, it really was. The talks, yourself gave a talk, Our Place in the Universe, which was absolutely fantastic, Steve. That was amazing. The first talk was about lost constellations and asterisms, and the third talk, unfortunately, Tracy Snellis, I can't remember her married name, sorry, you'll have to remind me of that. Harty, yeah, I do apologize, and I hope she's better soon, was unable to attend. So it's a chap from Society for Popular Astronomy stepped in and did a talk on photographing the night sky from a tripod, and that was I really wanted to stay for that, but of course I rushed off.
It was, in fact, it was Professor Ian Morrison.
Yeah, Ian
That's
Morrison.
right. Yeah,
Former Russian professor. He's such a good speaker. He's such a genial man. And there was lots of interaction from the audience with that. So it went down very well.
Yeah, I've seen him a few times before. So,
I rushed off to try and get the live launch set up, but as I said, as I got in, I switched on YouTube just as they officially announced the scrub, so I could have stopped for it.
So this is a castle with a real moat, then, is it?
Yeah, it's got a real moat, lots of ducks.
Gosh.
What we've got here, this is the main entrance into the castle. There's a duck pond on the right hand side, and on the left, that's part of the moat which carries on round.
Right.
And there you can walk. I have got some little video stuff. You can walk all around the back here, and there's more on the left of the actual castle still in situ.
Just out of interest, do you know anything about the castle? How old it is? It looks sort of Norman to me.
Yes, it was built by Norman. He was a nice chap.
He was quite prolific, wasn't he, as a castle builder?
Yeah, it was a Norman castle. It's part of the Welsh Marches, which were the Marsh Lords. They were given the job of protecting England against the Welsh. So there's lots of these castles and fortified manor houses all along the Welsh border. And they were tasked with defending England and stopping the Welsh coming over and marauding. And there was also, I mean, this goes back, I think it's 2,000 years history altogether, because there was an Anglo-Saxon site on there as well.
Right.
So it's a lovely village. If anyone's ever in North Shropshire and they see Whittington, take a detour and go and have a look. It's a wonderful place. The chap stood in the middle. That's Pete Williamson just there.
How is it?
Yeah, and I have got a picture, not of this lady, but the lady behind her, almost falling in the moat. But I won't.
Did you push her?
Yeah, so it's but it was, as you can see, this is actually from the road. This is what you see when you go in. There is a big car park around the back, which I suppose was part of the Bailey, because it was a Motte and Bailey castle, which means there was a big hill where the main defences were sat upon, and then you had the Bailey where all the servants and all the workshops and all that were. So if I can just flick through quickly. As I said, says he. Right, so I've got to go up there. Right, okay, let's go over. So here we are. There's Pete Williamson.
Oh, there's Pete. Bless his little cotton socks.
Oh, there's Ian, the chap from SBA.
Oh, yeah.
This is Pete. He loves to be a bit of a showman. He's doing a mime here, and it's trapped in a glass box.
He does it very well.
It does very well, yeah.
And let us remind our viewers that Pete was the founder of Astro Radio.
That's right.
Absolutely.
He was the chap who brought us all together.
Yeah.
As I said, this is mainly shots of us or when we're getting together. This is the viewing area. There were several telescopes about, and as we said, unfortunately, the weather wasn't kind to us. As you can see, it's dull, it's grey, but there were lots of people. Well, not at this time. This is quite early in the morning. There's Keith. Yeah, sat there.
He's a lot smaller than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's only about 2 inches.
Oh no, it could be because he's in the distance though.
Yeah, he's far away.
So Keith joined the panel early and then he dropped out.
Yeah, where's Keith gone?
He may be having trouble with his power. I mean, we've got a torrential downpour here at the moment. Surprised you can hear me.
Can you send it this way, please, guys? Blow it this way.
Yeah. So that was the viewing area, which unfortunately, I mean, it's surprising how many people did turn up. I mean, the weather was a bit was forecast as being a bit iffy, which probably kept some people away and that. But there were a few people milling around. This is Dave Galvin from Liverpool Astronomy. Here's Keith again, and they're discussing the finer points on scone eating. There were some free scones and they were lovely actually. You can see people in the background also, but they're discussing
scones. Gosh,
is it a scone or a
free
scone?
Scones.
I know free scones.
Well, you can see why everybody ate them all around here. But yeah, and there's, like I said, this is the car park. This is it towards the back of the area. There's plenty of car parking if you ever do go there. Here we have this is Steve doing his talk, or just about to start his talk, just before we started. As you can see, this is actually in one of the rooms in the actual castle gateway.
Yeah.
So it was only a small room, but it was always filled. Plenty of people to listen to the talks that went on, and as I said, they were all the two I saw were absolutely fantastic.
What a lovely place to give a talk, Steve.
Yeah,
It
bit like
was.
a chapel, isn't it?
It's
Dan?
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's a
it
bit like
was.
a church. Did you say your prayers before you started talking?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lovely, and also the acoustics in there were very good as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very nice. And of course, we always say that if you ever see an event like this, go along, because everybody's there for the same reason. They'll all talk to you. You can talk to all the stall holders. They'll give you information. I mean, I was out handing out eclipse glasses to the children and explaining to them in October we've got an eclipse coming up, so hopefully they'll be able to see that. Here's Dave with Kath. It was nice to see Kath, and you know, he's I got one shot of her and he looks very dodgy, but
I love the t-shirts.
yes,
they're great,
NASA, Apollo 11 and NASA. I think mine was a biking t-shirt because I went on the bike, if I remember right. And here's the Three Musketeers.
Other space agencies are available.
Yeah,
Here we go, the bodies.
yeah. This is the Three Musketeers. You got Steve,
That's nice.
who I found I always thought would be about the same height as me, but is a very tall chap, lovely chap.
Where are you, Steve?
Steve, where's your armchair? I've always seen you in the armchair.
Didn't you take your armchair with you?
Yeah, I managed to detach the plant from the top of my head as well, actually.
I didn't recognise him because he didn't have a glass of sherry. Of course, we've got Michael in the middle, and then we've got
that's a good title.
Keith here,
Michael in the middle,
and then of course you've got Dave in the background, and that was the little doorway we went into to have the talks and that in. So yeah, it was a very nice day. Lots of people milling around, chatting away, all talking about space and different subjects. The SLS, of course, came up several times. But yeah, everybody had a lot of fun there. So it was a great fun was had by all.
Thank you, Daz.
Oh, we got Karim coming back in. So
Fantastic.
He's trying again, is he?
Let's
Towards the end of the evening.
yeah.
While I'm waiting for Karim, can I just tell you about the detection of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of an exoplanet? A definitive identity.
Hold on.
Hey, Karim. Oh,
Hi, Karim.
Let's say hello to Karim. Karim,
hello,
Karim.
Karim.
Everyone.
how's
about
Armenia?
Armenia is incredible, and Starmus is just it's insane. It's been so much fun. We have had a couple of nights of concerts and talks, and this morning we got an amazing talk by Kip Thorne and Leah Halloran, and they gave us a little bit of a sneak preview at their book that they just put in, and it's poetry and paintings about the curvature of space-time. That's going to come out in a year.
Okay.
It was just breathtaking. And I was so happy he remembered when I hosted him 30 years ago. He didn't remember me, but he remembered the event. And that's the important part.
Yeah, but you can understand him not remembering you. That's perfect.
Of course, I'm not memorable at all.
No.
The amazing thing this evening was not only did we have a bunch of concert pianists, jazz pianists, we had the Sons of Apollo played a 3-piece set that was a lot of fun. And then at the end for Space Oddities, they had Chris Hadfield, and he was accompanied by Rick Wakeman.
Wow.
He was there, was he? Oh, bless his heart. Oh, wow. That was good. I would have loved to see that.
And then there were 4 awards given out for the Stephen Hawking Science Communication. And so I'll share all of that next week when we have our Space Oddities.
I hope you got lots of shots and videos and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get a bit of each and making sure we have permission to share certain parts. And it's been a really good time so far. And we're getting ready for Thursday night Star Party at the Temple Garni. That's going to be incredible.
Oh, fantastic!
Mm.
Oh,
Lovely.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, we see you
Yeah,
met up with
jealous.
we see you met up with Scott, who was on
Take a quick flight down. We've got space. I'll put you in my luggage to go up to Garni.
Andy won't get his feet wet, he can walk.
Yeah.
But we see you met up with Scott, who was our guest the other day. A lovely man.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We got to have lunch with Scott and with David Eicher, the editor of Astronomy Magazine.
Oh,
and he's on the board of Starmus, and so that's been a lot of fun to hear a little bit of the inside scoop of the way everything gets organized.
And as I said, they've all been past guests, so you're in good company there. They've all been on Space Oddities, so they got recognition. Here we go.
As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by somebody phoning in from Armenia, of all places. WASP 39b. There was a sky survey called WASP, and a lot of exoplanets have got the name, start with the name WASP because that's the name of the sky survey. This is WASP 39b, and it's an exoplanet 700 light years away. And we've got the first, let me just share this. The first definitive detection by Webb of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of an exoplanet, and it's a spike between 4 and 6 microns, exactly where you would expect carbon dioxide to be. As you can see from this plot, there were some data points in white, and the so-called best fit model in the blue. But there's a mystery because now they've discovered that just before the peak of carbon dioxide, there's another small peak, and it occurs just about there. And it's not shown here because this shows the best fit model, but latest analysis of this light curve definitively shows a peak just before carbon dioxide, just under the 4 micron mark. And they can't identify what compound it is. They're frantically trying to identify it because it doesn't match with anything known so far at this size of micron. So this is a bit of a mystery, but they're working on it. But the small peak just before the carbon dioxide is definitely real. It's not an artifact or anything. It's definitely real. So that's a bit of a mystery just to finish with tonight. Definitely carbon dioxide, clear as day, but something else that astronomers are scratching their heads over.
Let's thank you so much, Andy, and let's remind everyone that carbon dioxide, of course, can be released through geological processes such as volcanoes and subduction plates, but it could also be organic origin. Now we doubt very much it will be organic origin. This is a Jupiter-like gas giant.
Yeah.
But it's great. This is the first time we detect carbon dioxide on another planet, and it's the beginning of fantastic discoveries going forward. So,
Absolutely.
Amazing discovery.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. We're past the hour now, and we've gone through a lot of topics. Can I remind everyone who's watching, thank you so much again for watching us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. If you have any questions, go in the comment box. And also don't forget to go on our Facebook. We have a Space Oddities Facebook where you can just go in and join check what the members are talking about and sharing. Does anyone here on the panel have anything else to talk about, any news or anything relevant before we switch off?
Can I just plug an event?
Go for it.
Okay, so Go Space Watch has our next online lecture, which is on the 15th of September, which is a Thursday at 8 o'clock UK time. And it's Build Your Own Satellite, Inspiring the Next Generation with AmberSat. We have Karam who's the operations manager at AmberSat, who's going to be talking about their mission to inspire the next generation to pursue careers in STEM industry and more specifically the growing space tech sector in the UK. Working within education to make space accessible to all. So that's on Thursday, the 15th of September. And details are on our website at gospacewatch.earth for that.
Right.
That's
Thank
great.
you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. So
can I just reiterate, for everybody I was meeting in Ireland, thank you everybody in Ireland for making me so wonderfully welcome last weekend. I had a fantastic time. Thank you so very much.
that's cool.
And of course, it was great to meet Steve and Daz on the panel tonight in person for the first time. That was brilliant. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you needed to be a few degrees. You needed to be a few degrees east, Andy, so we can meet you as well.
Did you all get on, by the way? You didn't have fights or anything, did you? When you finally met each other. So, that's good to hear.
Pistols at dawn. It was I think the last time they had jousting at the castle was back in the Norman times, but
I got on all right because I'm the biggest.
Yeah, he had the biggest horse.
How tall are you, Steve, by the way?
Again.
How tall are you?
6'1".
6'1". Oh.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
I was expecting a lot more. God, you other guys must be.
Yeah, I thought you were a bit taller than that, Steve, but there we go.
Yeah.
Well, I had my high heels on.
He had his platform soles on.
Yeah.
Just on the occasion.
Right.
Cool. Karim, so next week you'll present to us everything great that you've been going through in Armenia, right?
We'll try to. I don't know if I could cram 1 week into less than 1 hour, but maybe we'll do like a little bit of highlights for a few weeks, and I'll try to pull in a few different things. But I do have to say, Dean, I will be back with a couple of stories over the next few weeks as well.
Excellent.
That's great. Cool. Thank you so much. And for everyone watching, don't forget, you can always post images. This week we were not viewing them because Rachel was not able to join. She's the one hosting the image gallery. Please do, if you do have images and you want to share with us, we love watching your images and we love talking about them. So Daz, can you put the link again of the how they can submit images?
Yeah, we'll put it in the description.
In the description.
Description. I haven't got it with me at this precise moment in time.
Fantastic.
We'll see you again next week.
Yeah, so we'll see everyone again next week. Thank you so much for joining. It was great talking, and goodbye the panelists. Goodbye everyone.
Bye everybody.
Thank you everybody. Hit those likes. Hit the likes. Keep looking up.
Subscribe, likes. Yeah.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Hey.